So what do we know? Well, that's how essentially I've broken down this presentation, is what we know and what we don't know, because it changes all the time, and I think it's very important for people to know that. So with respect to, do we have Chinese drywall, what can we do to find out? Well, certainly one of the first things you want to do is look at the documentation. As attorneys, we're always looking for documentation. Look at the warranty calls, the callbacks, the complaint logs that your clients have had. See if there have been any problems. We actually did our first Chinese drywall case in the state of Florida in 2003. We did not know it was Chinese drywall at the time. We called it an indoor air quality problem. We actually superheated the home because people want to know what we did, and the problem went away. I don't know whether that works or not, but we never heard again about it. Look at the bills of lading, look at purchase orders, look at the certificates of origin. Maybe you can find out from a documentation standpoint whether there's a good likelihood that your clients have used this. Look at the specifications that were written and whether there was compliance with those specifications. If you, in fact, cannot get a lot of information doing that, then you go maybe to the next step, which is the field investigation. You know, you've heard about the odors, you've heard about the labeling, you've heard about the size of the product. Most Chinese drywall is different size than US-made drywall, and you look at the impact to the property. Now, I will tell you, we've had experience using this MDL protocol. There was a question, I think Michael dealt with a question this morning about the MDL protocol. This is overkill, unfortunately. I can tell you from experience, when we price up doing the MDL protocol versus doing a regular investigation for our clients, doing the MDL protocol costs 10 times more than doing the regular protocol, and it is extremely exhaustive to the point where it takes one person almost a full day to do one house. You're taking 40, 50, 60 samples of material from one home to document, in fact, that you've got Chinese drywall and comply with this MDL protocol. The other thing you want to do is you want to be sure that if you are representing builders that they are responding. The failure to respond is a very big problem, and you definitely want to respond, and you want to be consistent in your response to those complaints. You need to be aware of what we call red herrings. When I first started doing this, one of our CIHs brought up the fact that in the state of Florida there's a very high sulfur content in the level of the water. Shallow water wells are a problem in Florida. We've actually seen in homes where we've got higher sulfur content in the water that you do have more problems in the homes. So clearly there is some interplay there between the level of sulfur that's out there and the problems in some of the homes. As we've heard from the program in Tampa, clearly what we're looking for are levels of sulfur and levels of strontium that are elevated. And again, all of the evidence now points to the fact that this is a mine problem. This is not a problem with other pollutants or other items coming in and impacting this material. At first, maybe we thought there was a fly ash component. That does not appear to be the case. So whether a metal-to-metal analysis is possible, I don't know, but it does appear to be a mine component only. And again, we are seeing levels of formaldehyde, but we always see levels of formaldehyde. And again, as Dr. Chung pointed out, this may be more of a problem than the Chinese drywall itself. What we don't know, and this is really the biggest problem, does presence equal a problem? Well, just because it's Chinese doesn't mean it's a problem. Just because it's not Chinese doesn't mean it's a problem. And so you've got some of this problem out there. We don't know whether presence equals a problem. And more interestingly, how much is too much? I can tell you in houses that we're working on, we've seen something very interesting. In houses where we only have 10 to 20% of the drywall in a home being of Chinese origin and being problematic, we're actually seeing greater impact sometimes than in homes where we've got 80 to 90% of the material being suspect or problematic Chinese drywall. So does more mean it's worse? I don't know. How much is too much? Is one sheet enough, or do we need 3 sheets, or do we need 5 sheets? These are unanswered questions. Does location matter? Does it matter if I've got the drywall in my garage as opposed to my bedroom? Am I feeling it more because it's in my bedroom? Again, we don't know the answers to these questions. Should bodily injury complaints alter your strategy, whether you're a plaintiff's lawyer or a defense lawyer? Again, These are good questions to ask, and with respect to testing and types of testing that you do, the answer to that question is probably yes. And is the MDL protocol overkill? Well, I can tell you it's going to be great for us as consultants because we're going to make a boatload of money, but is it really necessary? I don't know. One of the biggest problems with this, and I mention this to attorneys all the time, is that this is not a Ford Pinto. This is a soup. This drywall is not one size fits all. This is a combination of materials. And what I would like to tell you is that over the last 20 years of supervising people doing indoor air quality investigations, I will tell you, unfortunately, that probably as much as 50% of the time when we do these investigations, the answer to what's causing the problem is, we don't know. And what do? As Dr. Chung mentioned again, our solution is bring in more air or take out more bad air. That solves a lot of the problems. But unfortunately, we may never know what the causes of this problem. And the reason for that is there are so many different factors that come into play with doing indoor air quality evaluations. And remember that the sampling that you take is usually only a snapshot in time. So you've got people taking samples with Tedlar bags, and they're grabbing a sample of this air in the bag. How good is that sample? Is it really representative? As Dr. Parent, I think, said, what you really need to do is do months and months of studies, hour after hour after hour, to really figure out what's going on. Why? Because these are also new houses. In a new house, everything off-gases. We don't even understand the interplay between all of the chemical elements that are going on there that are creating this problem. So if we don't know what the problem is, if we can't find the cause, where is the liability? Can we ever even establish liability? I think that question is still out there.